Have you ever paused to consider how much of what you truly believe, what you genuinely feel, is actually your own uninfluenced thought?
Hmm.
Or how much might be gently, almost imperceptibly, molded by something else entirely? Edward Bernays, a figure many call the father of PR, once put forward this rather chilling idea of an invisible government. He suggested it's this unseen force that governs us, molds our minds, forms our tastes, suggests our ideas. Pretty unsettling, right?
It's an incredibly powerful concept, yeah. And it perfectly frames our mission for today, really. We're embarking on a deep dive to pull back the curtain on something we all encounter daily: propaganda. For most of us, that word instantly conjures up images of, historical wartime posters or outright obvious lies. But our sources reveal a far more complex, subtle, and frankly pervasive phenomenon.
Exactly. Our goal isn't just to define it, but to truly understand its DNA. We'll trace its surprising historical roots, uncover its diverse forms, and dissect the subtle yet potent techniques that have shaped human perceptions and guided actions from the earliest civilizations right up to our hyper-connected digital age. It's really a journey through the art of influence itself.
hmm To help us navigate this intricate landscape, we've gathered a rich array of sources: a comprehensive encyclopedia entry on propaganda, insights gleaned from a psychological defense agency, a fascinating review of Bernays' foundational book, academic research specifically detailing how Chinese animation serves as a vehicle for state messaging, and several compelling political case studies that analyze these specific techniques in action. Let's start by challenging some preconceptions.
Okay, so as you said, for most of us, propaganda feels like a dirty word. We think manipulation, deceit, something from a bygone era, perhaps a grainy black and white film. It's almost universally seen as negative.
And that's a very common modern perception, absolutely. But it's crucial to understand that it's not the original meaning. What's truly fascinating here is that the term propaganda actually started out quite neutrally. It's a modern Latin word derived from propagare, meaning to spread or to propagate. So literally, propaganda means the things which are to be propagated. Its etymology takes us all the way back to the Catholic Church's Congregatio de Propaganda Fide in 1622. This administrative body was created specifically for propagating the faith in non-Catholic countries. At its core, it was about dissemination, about spreading ideas, not inherently about deception.
Wow, okay, that's a huge shift, isn't it? It almost sounds benign in its origin, but then somewhere on the line clearly took a hard left turn.
Yeah.
What was the turning point? When did this neutral act of propagating become so strongly associated with manipulation, especially in English-speaking countries?
Well, the shift really solidified in the 20th century, particularly after World War I. The sheer scale and, frankly, the effectiveness of the manipulative tactics employed by government agencies during that conflict profoundly tarnished the word. Harold Lasswell, a prominent political scientist, then gave us a broader definition. Let me find it here: the expression of opinions or actions carried out deliberately by individuals or groups with a view to influencing the opinions or actions of other individuals or groups for predetermined ends and through psychological manipulations. That psychological manipulation element became the indelible stamp, moving it far beyond mere dissemination.
And this brings us right back to Edward Bernays, the father of PR we mentioned earlier, who really sort of codified this idea of manipulating public opinion.
hmm
Well, what was his core argument for why this was considered essential at the time?
In his 1928 book, also titled Propaganda, Bernays provocatively argued that the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. He genuinely believed this manipulation, or perhaps this guided persuasion, was essential for maintaining social order, to steer society in what he saw as beneficial directions. However, as you alluded to, it quickly became a double-edged sword, tragically weaponized by figures like Joseph Goebbels for, well, malevolent purposes, proving how powerful and dangerous this tool could be, regardless of initial intent.
Right. It highlights that the tool itself is neutral, but its application can be anything but. Even more recently, NATO's 2011 Guidance for Military Public Affairs offers a modern, practical definition.
Yeah, what does that one say?
It defines it as information, ideas, doctrines, or special appeals disseminated to influence the opinion, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any specified group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly.
What's crucial to note in that definition is the emphasis that propaganda's purpose is always to influence feelings, thoughts, and behaviors for a specific benefit. Importantly, it doesn't always involve disseminating false information. It can, and often does, use entirely accurate facts, but presents them in a very specific, carefully chosen way to achieve that predetermined end.
And that nuanced definition is incredibly important for you, our listener, to grasp. It helps us recognize that propaganda isn't always overt, loud, or obviously untrue. It's often a subtle, systematic form of persuasion, carefully crafted for a specific agenda, whether that's political, commercial, or ideological. The insight here is realizing that the tools of influence are inherently neutral, but their use can be incredibly powerful and, as history shows, easily diverted from any benign original intent. It's incredible to consider how these nuanced definitions still apply. And what truly grounds this discussion for me is seeing how these subtle forms of persuasion have been at play since, well, the dawn of civilization. Propaganda is absolutely not a modern invention. Let's journey back in time.
It truly is ancient. Take the Behistun inscription, carved into a cliff face around 515 BCE, detailing Darius III's rise to the Persian throne. Historians largely view this as an early example of propaganda, projecting his power and legitimacy to anyone who could see or read it.
Wow. Carved in stone.
Exactly. Or consider the Roman civil wars between Octavian and Mark Antony from 44 to 30 BCE. They engaged in mutual defamation, a Roman rhetorical genre known as vituperatio, essentially public character assassination campaigns, which were absolutely decisive in shaping public opinion and rallying support.
So like ancient attack ads.
Pretty much. Even Genghis Khan was a master propagandist. He reportedly sent men ahead of his army to spread exaggerated rumors about its size, often when it was actually smaller than his opponents, sowing fear before a single arrow was fired.
So it's about controlling the narrative, whether carved in stone or whispered ahead of an army. But then, the printing press. It must have revolutionized everything, allowing messages to spread like wildfire.
Oh, absolutely. Holy Roman Emperor Maximilian. I was one of the first rulers to fully utilize the printing press for propaganda. Building his image and stirring patriotic feelings with one-sided battle reports, effectively the precursors to modern newspapers. During the Reformation, Martin Luther understood this power implicitly. He commissioned Lucas Cranach's Pabst Smoot Bilder, or depictions of the papacy. Think of them as the viral political cartoons or memes of the Reformation era, often quite scathing.
Really? Like what?
Well, one famous woodcut, Kissing the Pope's Feet, had provocative captions like, "Don't frighten us, Pope, with your ban, otherwise we shall turn around and show you our rears."
No way, that's pretty direct.
It vividly shows how media was used to influence opinion and incite strong feelings, challenging established power.
So from woodcuts to world wars. The 20th century then brought us into the era of modern warfare and truly industrialized systematic propaganda.
That's right. World War I saw the first large-scale, organized government propaganda efforts. German military officials, like General Erich Ludendorff and later Adolf Hitler himself, actually attributed their defeat partly to effective British propaganda.
Interesting.
This profoundly influenced Hitler, who, in Mein Kampf, expounded on his theory. Repetition, emphasis, simplifying complex messages, and crucially silencing contradictors. Joseph Goebbels' Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda in Nazi Germany became the chilling embodiment of this, centralizing the production of messages designed to control the masses.
And World War II just continued that sophisticated use, didn't it? From films to posters, it became incredibly widespread, evolving in its reach and its psychological impact.
Indeed. We saw films like the Battleship Potemkin, Nazi Germany's Triumph of the Will, and even U.S. animation like their Fuhrer's Face, ridiculing Hitler and promoting democratic ideals.
Right, the cartoons.
And iconic posters such as "Destroy this mad brute," "Enlist," galvanized public support. Interestingly, even neutral countries used it. Sweden's A Swedish Tiger campaign, for example, cleverly depicted a blue and yellow striped tiger, urging citizens to keep quiet about sensitive information. A play on words to convey both strength and discretion.
Clever. The Cold War then took it to an even more global scale. A battle of ideologies fought as much with images and words as with weapons.
Precisely. Both the West and the Soviet Union engaged in extensive propaganda through film, television, and radio, targeting their own citizens, each other, and unaligned nations. The CIA, through covert organizations, even disseminated anti-communist books, including George Orwell's Animal Farm in 1984.
Which is ironic, given what those books are about.
Exactly. These novels became powerful tools in the West, highlighting the power and dangers of propaganda in dystopian societies, while themselves acting as a form of cultural messaging.
These historical examples aren't just dusty facts from textbooks. What's truly striking is how they illustrate timeless methods and psychological tactics that are still very much in play today. When you peel back the layers, you see the same patterns, often subtly, shaping your understanding of the world around you. So we've seen how pervasive propaganda has been throughout history. But how does it actually work? What are the fundamental levers, the specific techniques they're using to influence us?
Okay, this is where we break down the toolkit, moving from the what to the how. Richard Allen Nelson offers a neutral yet illuminating definition, focusing on propaganda as a systematic form of purposeful persuasion that attempts to influence the emotions, attitudes, opinions, and actions of specified target audiences, quote, through the controlled transmission of one-sided messages. These messages, he notes, may or may not be factual. What's crucial here is the deliberate control and the one-sided nature.
And even before we get to the psychological tricks, the way the message is attributed, that already tells us a lot, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Historians Biniak Zimin categorize propaganda by its level of disclosure. There is white propaganda, where the source and intent are clearly identified. Think of a government press release.
Okay, straightforward.
Then there's gray propaganda, which has an ambiguous or undisclosed source and intent, making it harder to verify.
Shady.
And finally, black propaganda, which is the most deceptive. It's falsely attributed to an enemy or another entity entirely, often used in what are called black operations to sow discord or mislead. It's incredible how many layers there can be just in who's sending the message.
It really makes you question every source.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the psychological techniques? How do they actually tap into our minds?
Well, there are quite a few, many of which cleverly exploit our natural cognitive biases and emotional responses. One fundamental technique is playing on emotions. Propagandists expertly exploit fear, anger, hope, or sympathy to bypass our critical thinking. This is often achieved through evocative music, powerful images, and highly emotive language designed to make you feel before you think.
That immediately makes me think of so many political ads trying to scare us about an opponent or make us feel a certain way about an issue. It's all feeling, not fact.
Exactly. Another common and powerful technique is creating a common enemy. This fosters an us versus them mentality, neatly blaming external groups or scapegoating for societal problems, whether it's a poor economy or perceived threats to national identity.
Right. Find someone else to blame.
Then there's skewed information, presenting accurate facts but simplifying them, taking them entirely out of context, or only showing a small, carefully selected part of a problem to convey a misleading, though seemingly credible, message.
So they're not necessarily lying outright, just selectively presenting the truth to paint a specific picture. That feels even more insidious because it's so much harder to detect, isn't it?
Precisely. And then there's repetition. Research consistently shows that even if a claim has been debunked, if you hear it over and over again, you can still be subconsciously influenced by it or even come to believe it. Slogans and phrases are reused relentlessly to create a sense of widespread agreement or undeniable truth.
Got it. What else is in the toolbox?
We also see name-calling, using derogatory labels like Chattel's Party or Reds to instantly discredit opponents without needing to engage with their actual arguments.
That's a classic political tactic, definitely. And I've heard of glittering generalities as well. What are those?
Yes, that involves employing vague, positive terms like justice, liberty, progress, or the national good. They evoke strong emotional appeal without any concrete, verifiable meaning. They sound good, but what do they really mean?
Right. Feel-good words without substance.
On the flip side, plain folks is used to create an image of a candidate or leader as an ordinary person, perhaps shown eating cheap food, playing a guitar, or working in a humble setting, all to foster relatability and trust with the general public.
So it's about making them seem just like you and me, someone you can trust because they understand your life, like they're one of us.
Exactly. Then there's card stacking, which means highlighting only favorable information while minimizing or completely omitting unfavorable details. It's like rigging the deck in a card game.
Only showing the good stuff.
Precisely. Finally, bandwagon urges people to conform because everyone else is doing it, playing on our social instincts and fear of missing out, often through psychological pressure in rallies or trending social media movements.
Jump on board before the train leaves the station.
What's really at play here across all these techniques is exploiting a fundamental human desire for simplicity, belonging, and emotional reassurance. Propaganda doesn't just present information, it offers a ready-made reality.
It sounds like this playbook has been refined over millennia. But how has the digital age amplified and fundamentally transformed these techniques? It feels like we're exposed to them constantly now in ways previous generations never were.
Oh, the digital age has been a true game changer, yeah. Not just increasing volume, but altering the mechanics of propaganda. The internet, social media platforms, and even memes have become incredibly prolific venues for spreading propaganda. often cleverly disguised with satire and humor to lower our guard.
Right, the memification of everything.
And what's also crucial to understand is disinformation that's inaccurate or manipulated information deliberately spread to mislead. Our sources emphasize that this is the cornerstone of classic propaganda and the basis for much of what we now call fake news. It manifests as manipulated images, texts, videos, or audio that can be shockingly convincing.
So it's not just about what's being said, but how it's being created, how it's being manufactured, and then spread almost instantly.
Absolutely. The RAND Corporation even coined the term fire hose of falsehood to describe this rapid, repetitive, continuous broadcasting of numerous messages across multiple channels, often without regard for truth or consistency. It's designed to overwhelm you, to flood the information space so thoroughly that discerning truth becomes nearly impossible.
Just drown out the facts with noise.
And the manipulation is becoming increasingly sophisticated. We saw this starkly with the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2018, where the firm used illegally obtained social media data and psychological profiling to target political campaigns in the 2016 U.S. election, personalizing propaganda on an unprecedented scale.
Tailoring the message right down to the individual level, that's scary. And the idea of deepfakes is terrifyingly relevant here, creating realities that never existed.
It is. AI-generated fake videos and audio, some virtually indistinguishable from reality, pose a significant threat in elections and public discourse by misleading voters and creating entirely fabricated realities. But propaganda appears in less obvious places too, often where we least expect it.
Like Chinese animation, according to one of our sources. That's an unexpected and fascinating medium for this kind of influence. How does that work?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is how animation, with its broad appeal across all ages, serves as such a powerful medium for state messaging. During China's Cultural Revolution, propaganda was very direct, using strict artistic guidelines known as the Three Prominences. Heroes were central, bright, and red, while enemies were dark, ugly, and small. Very obvious.
Okay.
Today, while the socialist political system's censorship, despite economic reforms and commercialization, still ensures the persistence of propaganda, it's often more subtle, metaphorical, and educational. We see this in main melody films and animations like Zanga, the Soldier Boy. They embed ideological messages within cultural narratives, making them less overt but still profoundly influential on the audience's values and understanding of a national identity.
So it's not just in the news or political campaigns. It can be woven into our entertainment, even our children's entertainment, shaping their worldview from a young age.
Yeah.
And what about advertising? Is that also a form of propaganda? Where do we draw the line?
Well, there are certainly blurred lines. Our sources note that propaganda shares many techniques with advertising and public relations. Advertising can very much be thought of as propaganda promoting a commercial product or shaping the perception of an organization or brand.
Selling products versus selling ideas.
Exactly. But the more concerning aspect is what we call covert propaganda in the form of paid articles disguised as legitimate news. Native advertising, some call it. These present an issue in a subjective, misleading light, designed to persuade rather than objectively inform. When the audience is unaware of the sponsorship, unaware that they are being sold an idea, it absolutely crosses into the realm of propaganda.
Right. It's clear then that you are constantly exposed to these techniques, whether you realize it or not, every single day across every medium. Understanding this toolkit and the motivations behind it is absolutely crucial for protecting your critical thinking and for navigating an increasingly complex and saturated information environment. So we've journeyed through the surprising etymology of propaganda, tracing its path from a neutral term of dissemination to its modern, often negative connotations of manipulation. We've explored its timeless application, from ancient inscriptions and Roman political attacks to the printing press and the battlefields of the world wars, showing how consistent these methods truly are.
And we've meticulously uncovered the specific techniques used. From playing on emotions and creating common enemies to the subtle art of card stacking and glittering generalities. These methods have been exponentially amplified and transformed in our digital age, presenting themselves in everything from deepfakes to animations, blurring lines with advertising and public relations, and permeating every corner of our information landscape.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a profoundly chilling thought from Hermann Goering, delivered during the Nuremberg trials. He said, "The people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country."
Wow. It's a sobering and timeless observation, isn't it? We ask you to consider, How easily might these very mechanisms still be at play in the world around you, even today, guiding narratives and shaping perceptions?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay critical, and always remain discerning in the face of constant information.